on. Oh, am I live? Sorry.
It's you. It's
All
you.
right, we're good.
You're
Sorry,
live.
my mute mic is going on and off right now repeatedly. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. What's going on, everyone? This is the Fantasy Aces podcast. I'm your host, Joe Bevilacqua, and with me we got Nate Holleran, Mike Hendel, and Sonny Chowdhury. How are you guys doing today on this fine evening?
Rough. I'll say that much.
All right, guys.
From the bets, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, they could say that. The Cardinals, just not looking good. That's all I can say.
It's not any better than the Falcons, so I'm the one who gets to complain of being at 0-4. All right, guys.
I'm pretty content. We won.
I know, Nate. You got the win.
Yeah,
We got a lot
feel?
of topics to talk about today. We're gonna be talking about some fantasy takeaways.
Doesn't feel normal.
We're going to be talking about some fancy takeaways that will lead us to the waiver wire. We're also going to be doing some buy low, sell high. And then we're going to do starts and sits for week 5. And then if we have time, we're going to do a live mailbag. If you guys are watching, go on to Discord in the fantasy talk area and list your questions. If we have enough time at the end of the episode, then we can answer your fantasy questions. But Nate, just getting back to you. Your Eagles, you finally got a 1. You finally got one win at 2-1. I think you're leading the division in the NFC East. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I remember just last week when everyone was like, why did you go for that? Why'd you take the punt? Why didn't you go for the win? Go for the field goal. And it came back and actually helped us. Now we're first place, 1-2-1. It's not the best feeling, especially when you have Travis Fulgham. I don't know if anybody knows him because I have no idea who that is.
Like a kicker?
No, he's a wide receiver that came off of multiple practice squads. Showed up pretty well Sunday night.
He did something.
Yeah, so we got a win. I don't know how many wins we'll get, but
I'm pretty sure it's because San Francisco had their third string, basically quarterback playing against the Eagles. But all right, Mike, how are you feeling after week 4?
Are you talking about fantasy team-wise or reality team-wise?
Just, reality, fantasy, how you feeling? How's football feeling for you after week 4?
I'm sad about Ruggs, man. He's not playing. Our other wide receiver, Edwards, is also injured. He had an injury history in college. I feel like both of those injuries were flukes, too. Like, the receivers are running real hard and trying, and then the defensive backs, it's happening a lot this season where they're holding onto the guy, and then they swing under his legs so that they fall in the crack of his knees and then land on his ankles. Like, that's how defensive backs are tackling receivers and they're leaving the game. It's awful.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, that's a big concern. Also, the turf in a lot of fields right now, like they're just not sustaining these players. And you don't like to see non-contact injuries, and there's been a lot of them this year. Sonny, how you feeling? Arizona.
I mean, we had a good 2-0 start, not looking far, but my biggest takeaway is like, maybe the Panthers might be more underrated than we all thought. But, we got the Jets next week, a good bounce back week. And I thought the spread was like 6.5. Take the spread on Arizona. We're coming out swinging.
All right. Take the spread. We'll see about that. But, I'd probably agree with you. The Jets are, not too good.
They're so bad.
All right, guys. News around the league. Nick Chubb, his knee. He's out for a while. Starting Kareem Hunt. And also Austin Eckler out several weeks with a hamstring, I believe. So that's also disappointing. Joe Mixon in PPR, 42.1 points. We all said get rid of him last week. And
except for this guy.
Oh,
hey, Hey, before we get started, though, I got to show off the Joe Mixon real quick.
I love it.
Mixon time, baby. That's why you hold on to him. That's right.
Joe Mixon, baby. Yeah. He had his best fantasy week with 3 touchdowns. I mean, leading the course. I don't think Nate can handle himself right now.
Mike is just so zoomed in.
OJ Howard is likely out for the year with an Achilles tear, so maybe we'll see something from Gronk, but realistically, Cameron Brate might be someone that you want to look at right now.
And another one, Noah Fant, too. He had that injury also Thursday night.
Oh yeah, Noah Fant as well. Yeah, no, that was a big one. Um, 2 leagues and killed Alec, who was the Bengals fan. And yesterday, so on Monday, there was 0 positive tests coming from the Titans, so we hope to see them playing for week 5. All right, guys, we're gonna start with the first topic: fancy takeaways and waiver wire pickups. We're start with Sonny. Give us your takeaways from week 4, and then also list a couple waiver wires that you want to bring out.
Yeah, so I mean, again, like this year, we've seen a bunch of injuries, like you said, Eckler and Chubb. So it's pretty hard to find running backs. And you got like Aaron Jones out with the bye this week. But something I want to touch up on was I think my first waiver wire pickup would be Chase Edmonds of the Arizona Cardinals. Kenyon Drake just hasn't looked good this year. We saw him with the boot earlier this offseason. He hasn't been effective. And now you get a Jets defense that gave up over 100 scrimmage yards and 2 touchdowns to Melvin Gordon. So if Edmonds sees a bigger role, I think he's someone that you should, take an eye on. Damian Harris is another good running back. And then, Dearness Johnson. I think those 3 guys and Justin Jackson as well. It's hard to find running backs, but if you're desperate, I think those are some of the guys that you can take an eye on.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. And actually, Chase Edmonds was the waiver wire guy that I was gonna clearly state because we're probably gonna talk about it later, but Kenyon Drake's not doing much for the Cardinals right now.
Mhm.
And Chase Edmonds can be someone you could definitely have that I think he's more like a PPR guy because he has been doing well in the passing game. So I think he can be a viable waiver wire pickup, especially in like PPR leagues.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I mean, when he gets touches, he has more reception and touchdowns than Kenyon Drake. And I mean,
Yeah.
just last season, we saw like his only game starting, he had like 3 touchdowns against the Giants. We know he's capable of handling a bigger workload. So if they give it to them against the Jets, he should be able to provide some value.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Yeah, Mike.
I wouldn't I'm for Chase Edmonds. I think he's good, and I agree with you guys saying. I still am not gonna give up on Drake quite yet because Edmonds is never has been like an
That's right.
every down back.
Yep.
So they're not going to abandon running the ball. Even college coaches that come to the NFL like aren't doing that. They're still running the ball. And Drake is top 8 in rush attempts on the season, which is why I'm not like they can give the ball more to Chase Edmonds, but Kenny Drake is still going to get his touches. So I'm not completely abandoning hope yet, though I
Yeah.
wish I traded him away.
No,
Really.
I completely agree with you. When I was saying that, I mean, I think you should start Kenyon Drake. I mean, this is it. This is the last week. Like, I would start Kenyon Drake if you had him. But if you're one of those guys that suffered an injury or a bye week and you have absolutely no one, I think he'll be able to provide some value compared. I mean, there's really no one else on the waiver wire. But I mean, if you got Drake, I'm rolling him out there one more time.
Here, listen to this for Drake. His fantasy points: week 1, 14; week 2, 10; week 3, 8 fantasy points, and week 4, 3 fantasy points. So Drake is just going down and down, but he's still top 8 in rush attempts. He's top 8 in rush attempts.
One more week. I'm giving him one more week. We saw Mixon last week. Maybe this is the week that Drake finally takes off. But if you got him, I'm rolling him out there.
That's the concerning part. 3 points against that Panthers defense, that rushing defense. But you know what? I think there will be a bounce back. I kind of see it more like a handcuff running back, just having him on the bench just in case something does happen. But I agree on both sides of that. Nate, give me a fantasy takeaway you got from week 4. Maybe a little waiver wire pickup.
Yeah, so man, I'm actually going to go defense. How about the Indianapolis Colts?
Yeah.
It's not something most people expected, coming to the season, like the Colts defense, like what? But they have been like the best in league statistically through the first quarter, at least, of the NFL season of 2020, which has been absolutely insane. They ranked first in both yards per allowed, 4.4, and expected points added allowed per negative 0.14 through the first 4 weeks of the NFL season. And like I said, no one expected the Indianapolis Colts to do such a great job on defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, they had the backup. Their safeties. There's some damage with their safeties. I think a couple of them are out with injuries. So I'm kind of shocked that they're doing so well.
Yeah, they're able to really use what they have on defense despite the injury. So for waiver wire, I'm going with T. Higgins.
Right.
I know a lot of people kind of, go around the fact of like tight end, depending on what league they're in. And, when you say tight end in the draft that we just had for fantasy, T. Higgins wasn't, one of your number one picks, obviously. So he's going to be on the waiver wire. He's becoming like a favorite of Burrow. I feel like Burrow just starts getting better and better and better. I know he has a tough matchup this week against Baltimore, but since taking over the starting role about two weeks ago, he racked up 16 targets over the last 2 weeks, and he has made most of them while totaling 9 receptions for 117 yards and 2 touchdowns. And like I said, as Burrow gets better, so does Higgins. So it seems like the connection between them is pretty good.
Yeah, I think I mentioned him for a waiver wire pickup last week, so I really like that. I'm surprised you guys aren't talking about the Funyun man. Robert Tonyan, 6 targets, 98 yards, and 3 touchdowns for the Packers. Like, is this guy going to be – because I know because Adams and Lazard are out, but Lazard will be out for longer, and Adams might come back next week. But still, this guy could be, like, the number 2 guy in targets, in the passing game. So watch out for Robert Tonyan, I mean, that was an exceptional game. I know it's a banged-up secondary, but this guy showed some athleticism. Like, those are tough catches that he made. So I just want to point out that we should be watching for him. And, in some waiver wires, he's up there. So we'll see how that goes. Is there any other waiver wires that you guys want to mention before we get to the next topic?
Yeah. What do you guys think of Traquan Smith on the Saints?
I mean, if Michael Thomas gets back, I don't know how much you can trust him with
Right.
Emmanuel Sanders and everything.
Yeah. If he doesn't come back, though,
then he's intriguing.
Yeah.
If he's not, but I mean, on a Tuesday night, I would say if I needed a flex replacement, I think Scotty Miller would be my number one guy.
that was the other guy I was gonna say. Yeah.
So for 1 week, like I'm confident he'll get me points. I like T. Higgins long term, but someone that I also like a lot with Laviska Shenault.
Yep.
I mean, like just his rushing floor and his receiving ability, like you can guarantee that he'll get touches every week. And then they faced the Texans that gave up 130 rushing yards to Dalvin Cook last week, and they let Thielen and Jefferson both get over 100 receiving yards. So if you can't defend the pass or the run, Shenault can do it all. So like maybe he's a sneaky sleeper this week too.
All right. Yeah. And I just want to mention one more thing before, and I could ask all you guys because I have him on my dynasty team. Brandon Ayuk, should I feel comfortable starting him on a weekly basis?
Yes.
Even though I've only seen him in the running game, though. He got a running touchdown. Like, I want to see him more in the passing game. I mean, he's used on jet sweeps, but you gave me
in deeper leagues, like 3 wide receivers, I would say, like, again, he has a rushing floor too. I mean, like, you could maybe roll him out. I'm not still 100% must start every week yet, especially with Debo coming back. But, I mean, if you're desperate, he's not the worst option. I have him on a few benches, so.
Oh, I'm desperate in that league.
Yeah.
All right, guys. But dude,
We got to talk about that hurdle, though. That had to be one of the best highlights.
Don't talk about that. We don't talk about that.
Yeah, no, that was pretty cool.
Darius Slay could have made that tackle if he didn't start limping. Would never happen.
All right.
Buy low, sell high, right? I'm going to give you guys these scenarios on sell high. You just tell me if you want to sell the guy or if you want to keep him or just kind of settle and see what happens. So we're going to go with the first player, Joe Mixon. And we're going to start off with Mike.
Oh, I think you guys know my thoughts on him. I would, if you have him, I would sell him. But
Really?
not every fantasy team has a morality clause. Not everyone does.
That's true.
That's very true. But, I mean, do you think he can bounce back continuously? Or you think that was just, I know he's not probably going to get 40 points again.
I mean,
but you think
he's on a team that is bottom 5 in the NFL. If you want to say so, if you want a player who is going to be a running back on a team that's going to be coming from behind a lot, probably isn't going to be doing that well, and he's not even he'll split third downs with Gio, right? Isn't Gio on that team still? So
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see the Bengals playing from ahead a lot and running the ball. So against the Jaguars, sure.
Uh-huh.
But
I agree with you. It really depends, it's hard with this, this topic, but it really depends what I'm getting for him. But realistically, I think I'm going to settle with him for now and just keep him for a little bit and see. I really think that was kind of a motivational boost because, I mean, he was the top running back in fantasy this past week. So we'll see what happens, but I think I'm going to settle with him. Nate, how do you feel about Joe Mixon? Are you going to sell him?
Yeah, honestly, I kind of agree with Mike. I'm going to sell him. I was pretty iffy on him last week, if I recall correctly. If he could bounce back, I would look to keep him. But you know what? It was against the Jaguars defense, and they're not the greatest. I know he carried the ball 25 times. He had 151 yards and 2 touchdowns. I'm not, trying to say it like it's like, oh, that's whatever, but that's enough. That's enough leverage to, start making trades, start looking for people to shop with them because you could definitely get something good out of a Joe Mixon trade if you're smart, of course, in making those type of trades. But Giovanni Bernard has been on that team. He's the captain at the running back position. They love him. They still find a way to use him. I know he has had injuries before, but they still shake it up. And Joe Mixon, was obviously still supposed to be that number one guy. I still think he's a great back, but I would look to sell him, use the leverage that he did against Jacksonville and take that opportunity.
All right. Sonny, how do you feel about Joe Mixon?
Yeah, I mean, just ask the Saquon owner, the CMC owner, the Eckler, the Chubb. It's hard to find a workhorse running back. And right now with all the injuries, people would be killing to have a lead running back that's going to get a role every week, get touches every week. And, this is a stealing game. I'm not expecting him to ever get another outing like that. But I think it's someone that you can rely on every week in your starting lineup. And I think that's huge this season.
Yeah,
so I'm keeping him.
All right. What about Odell Beckham? Should we sell high on him? We're going to start with Sonny this time.
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely selling high. For Odell owners, it's a dream scenario. Dallas couldn't defend anything. They were missing their starting cornerback, Awuzie. And then, their whole – they're just a run-heavy team. You can't rely on Odell every week to, for the Browns to pass the ball. You still got Baker throwing the ball. And, I think it was just a blow-up performance. And right now is the perfect time to be selling them and maybe getting a running back that we could use or something.
I agree with you. I think that was kind of an outlier game right there because that game was just absolutely crazy. 41-14 in the fourth quarter. Dallas has one of the worst passing defenses in the league. So that's also another reason why Odell lit it up. Also, they did not expect a sweep from Landry to Odell for that touchdown and then that late touchdown where they missed all their tackles and Odell got in the end zone. Complete outlier game. He's high in the market value. I would sell him, try to get, more of pieces around your team. So
that's the other thing. Every league has that OBJ truther. This is it. This is the guy that we've been waiting for. So they're easy to find. They rolled out all their trick plays. It was just a perfect scenario for him. So you can't expect that again.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Nate, how do you feel about Odell Beckham? Are you going to sell on him?
I'm very impressed with Cleveland. I am. I like when they're putting up points back-to-back weeks. It has been against, though, we can't forget how they got blown out by the Ravens in week 1. So they beaten the Bengals, the Washington football team, and then the Dallas Cowboys. So 3 very soft teams, if I could say so myself. For Odell, that I would sell him. I would. I like Odell. I really do. I think Cleveland is starting to find their offensive rhythm. I think they're week in and week out. They're trying to put things together that they were struggling last year on. I think it can get better, but as the opponents get harder, which it will sooner or later. They have the Steelers coming in at least a couple of weeks. I'm selling them again. No, Mike's not selling them. I'm gonna sell them. I'm gonna again do that absolutely.
You were talking about the Colts defense. They play them next week too, so keep that in mind.
They do. So I would sell them though, but Mike doesn't. So let's hear.
All right, Mike, explain.
Well, I don't think you'll get enough. If someone comes to you trade and wants to I'm going to take advantage of this guy and so someone's going to try and cheap you out of him. if you think that you're going to sell him high and you get a medium price, like I don't think you'll get value or enough to make it worthy. And you know that Odell is going to command targets and involvement. I don't see anyone ponying up enough to make it worth trading him. I would trade him, but you're just not going to get the value.
Yeah. Okay. That's understandable. All right, guys. So switch it up a little on this one. So we're going to talk about Chris Carson and Melvin Gordon. All right. So I'm going to ask you. You can sell one of them, and you can keep one of them for Chris Carson and Melvin Gordon. So which guy are you going to sell, and which one are you going to keep? We'll start with Nate this time.
So keep Chris Carson or sell him? Is that what you said?
You can either
Pick one or the other.
Chris Carson or Melvin
Okay,
Gordon.
so I'm gonna
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's easy. For me, it's gonna be Chris Carson. I know he suffered,
You're gonna keep him? You're gonna keep Chris Carson and sell Melvin Gordon? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
All right.
Yeah, even with I don't know if you guys can remember, even with, beginning of the podcast when the season was starting, we were talking about Melvin Gordon. I was stating how his injuries still concern me. He does not look fast. Like, he does not look like the same Melvin Gordon, like, at all, like that we used to see him play when he was on the Chargers. I still think he's a good back, but Chris Carson has been putting up pretty good numbers despite the injury he had. And I know they worried about his concussion protocol. I know he went into halftime.
He's a workhorse.
So
he's a workhorse.
He is. He
gets injured a lot during the game, but he goes right back into it. So,
and it's just the Seahawks offense. It's just they're rolling.
Yeah.
They can be considered the best team in the league right now. I mean, why not? Yeah. He rushed 16 times for 80 yards against the Dolphins.
Yep.
The dude has been phenomenal. He caught 3 or 4 targets. So
here's the question, though, because between these two, you got Chris Carson, who's had nagging injuries throughout the season, and then we have Melvin Gordon, who we predicted would get injured, yet he's not. And he's actually been kind of consistent, Melvin Gordon. So, it's honestly, you got to consider that, and Lindsey's not injured. I still agree with you. I'd rather have Chris Carson, but we also have to factor that in that for some reason Melvin Gordon's the healthy back right now, not Chris Carson, even though Chris Carson just pushes through. The guy's like a beast. He's just like, I don't care if I'm injured, I'm playing, I'm going in this game. So
yeah, but again, it's Seahawks offense.
That is also
Broncos
also
offense.
true.
So I'm going to go with Seahawks and the running back that's been producing every single week. So Chris Carson over Melvin Gordon.
I agree with you. All right. Sonny, what do you feel about Melvin Gordon, Chris Carson? Which one would you sell?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough because I actually want to sell both of them. But, I think I'm just going to go with the better offense with Chris Carson. I mean, Melvin Gordon, you got to think, with Philip Lindsay coming back, it was against the Jets. I always think it's good to take advantage of primetime games. Melvin Gordon was on full display on a Thursday night, and then now they got a third-string quarterback running the show. So I don't know how much you can rely on Melvin Gordon, the Broncos offense. I think the biggest edge is the Seattle offense. But, I would be more concerned about Chris Carson's injuries, even with Melvin Gordon, just because his running and, his physicality, it's fun to watch, but it's like, if you're an owner, you're always just shaking. But yeah, I just got to go with the better offense and go with Chris Carson on that one.
Yeah, no, I definitely, that's the other side with it, with those injuries. And as a fantasy owner, you get worried every time that happens with Chris Carson. Mike, how do you feel with Melvin Gordon and Chris Carson? Which one are you selling?
Yeah, I'm selling Gordon, not only because he's played for 2 of the AFC West teams, but I also love Philip Lindsay, man. I think he is such a great back, and I'm excited to see him, come back into the league and tear it up when he comes back from his injury. He's a great player. It's unbelievable he went undrafted in the real NFL draft. So, when Lindsay comes back, those carries are going down. They have to go down. Lindsay's a better player, in my opinion.
Yeah, Lindsay's such a cool story, honestly.
Yeah,
this guy, it's such a cool story with Lindsay. This dude comes out of, I want to say nowhere, but almost nowhere.
Yeah.
And he's a
their
stud.
backyard. He comes out of their backyard.
Pretty much. And this guy's a stud. And Broncos are like, why not? We kind of need a running back because they were down a few. So they pick up, the backfield's nice. I mean, it's just their offense is still very iffy, and with their about
So
4
young.
to 16, very young. It's just an iffy offense that has gone through injuries as well. So you're balancing between Seahawks. So I mean, but the Melvin, it's not a horrible option. I mean, I can see the Melvin position. He's still a good back. He's been there again. It was against the Jets, but
Yeah, no, I agree with you guys. All right, guys, we're gonna do a buy low. This kind of leads from the bets that we had from last week. David Moore. Are you gonna buy low on David Moore? And Mike and Sonny had a bet from last week with Robbie Anderson and David Moore. So I would like to see their position.
What was the results on that? Nate,
Yeah,
do you remember?
I'm gonna say this one more time. I'm out on DJ Moore. That is my guy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
No, you're good,
apologize. I don't know why I had Moore.
We're talking about Seattle.
We are talking about
Seattle.
DJ Moore of the Carolina Panthers, not the Seattle Seahawks. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. Mike likes Robbie Anderson. Sonny likes DJ Moore. So would you buy low on DJ Moore, Mike?
Sure. If I could get him for dirt, I'll gladly give that up. I would much rather have Robbie Anderson.
Yeah,
obviously, because he has more points, like almost double, and he had almost double last week too. So Well, let's talk about the other bet too when we get a second too, just to rub it in a little bit.
All right, Sonny, would you buy low on DJ Moore? I assume yes.
Yes, 100%. We're gonna get to our starts of the week later on, so I might make a guest appearance, but I think he's in for a big bounce back week against your Falcons, actually. So keep an eye on that one.
Start the water boy against the Falcons, and he'll get 20 points. So.
I'll talk more about that, because big things coming. All I'm going to say.
Nate, would you buy low on DJ Moore?
Yeah, again, Falcons defense. I mean, it's just it's every week. I mean, again, Seahawks offense. It's amazing. I know this guy isn't a huge name in Seattle, but he did pretty good last week. 3 or 4 targets for a season high. He had 95 yards and a touchdown. And his quarterback is Russell Wilson, the magic man, in my opinion. So, I would buy into DJ Moore.
All right. We'll do one more buy low so we can briefly state our starts for week 5. David Montgomery. The guy's had the share volume. Tariq Cohen's out for the rest of the year. He hasn't really, you don't see him be like, wow, big game from David Montgomery. So, would you buy low on David Montgomery? Sonny?
Yeah, I would. I mean, you got to look at the matchup. We've been talking about the Colts defense. They're a good defense. I think that was more the result of just going up against a good team. And I mean, they got another tough matchup against the Bucs. But we got to remember, Tariq Cohen tore his ACL. That should give David Montgomery more touches in the receiving game. And I mean, even Cordero Patterson, he doesn't get many looks in the backfield. So I think David Montgomery is going to have a steady workload every week that you can rely on. As a weekly low-end RB2 flex kind of starter, but I'd be comfortable buying low on him just for the workload and production.
Nate, how do you feel about David Montgomery? Would you buy low on him?
No, I would not.
Oh,
I would not. I'm not comfortable with David Montgomery. Honestly, for the position he was put in for Chicago, Chicago's offense as a whole has been very concerning, but David Montgomery, in my opinion, is more concerning than anything. Last week, or this past week, he rushed 10 times for 27 yards and caught 3 of 6 targets for 30. So he had more catches for yards than running. They lost 19-11 to the Colts. Again, we've said it, the Colts defense is, amazing. But they have tough matchups coming up, and David Montgomery hasn't shown me anything that I've been comfortable with saying that I could keep him. So I would get rid of him. I'm not buying into David Montgomery.
Okay, Mike. Would you buy low on David Montgomery?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how low. If I could fleece somebody and have him, then absolutely I'm doing it. I mean, I think the Bears are going to be in close games because they've managed to keep these games close. I don't know how they've won as many games as they have, but they have, which means in a close game you're running the ball. You're not throwing it all the time, and plus they don't have the players that are good enough to be able to throw the ball all over the place. So mainly a quarterback, unfortunately. But yeah, I'll take him if I can get him and fleece somebody. I'm taking him, but I'm not gonna like mortgage the farm.
All right, that's reasonable. And just going back to Mike and Sonny's bet, who had Rex Burkhardt saying they would go off and who didn't?
Nate has the details on this. Nate, what happened again? I forget.
Yeah, so when Robbie Anderson, Mike, obviously taking Robbie Anderson, and I know Sonny was very confident in DJ Moore, and they placed a bet, more points, and Mike's winning. Robbie Anderson 82 on the season, 17 points last week. DJ Moore 49 on the season. So the balance, the gap between that is significant.
What about the other one? Do you remember what the other bet was?
Yeah, so Rex Burkhead versus the Chiefs, 5 points or less. That's a risky bet because the Patriots have been shifting their running backs back and forth, and he had a good week the previous week, week 3, but he had less than 5 points. Mike won that less than 10.
I mean, that was my point. That was my point. You cannot trust Patriots running backs. There's always a different one that's going to be great every other week, no matter who's healthy, who's not. They're never going to play the same 2 weeks in a row.
I will say I didn't think James White would come back.
But that's the point. That's my point. That they're all interchangeable, and
don't they have also Damian Harris? Don't they have Damian Harris in there also?
Yeah, so yeah. Well, I'm saying, I'm going forward. I think Damian Harris is the best bet. I mean, James White, I still think is a good value guy that you could play out there, but I mean, Burkhead gone, Sony IR. I think White and Damian Harris maybe flexes. So we'll see.
I wouldn't do any of them.
Right,
you can't trust them.
All right. We got to get to the start and sit for week 5. Briefly state your week 5 starts and sits. We're going to start with Mike.
All right. I'm going Drew Brees on Monday night. The Saints on Monday night at home. I know there's no fans there, but they are insane historically on Monday night. Alvin Kamara, I'm sticking with that too. I'm Clyde Edwards-Helaire against the Raiders. They're going to be up and go run heavy. I'm going interesting here. Since the Cowboys give up 100 points to receivers every week, I'm going Slayton from the Giants. He's a great player. I'm going DK Metcalf. The Vikings are letting receivers score on them a lot. Darren Waller, the second best player in the NFL. I'm going to him. And then defense, I'm going I think, does New England play Denver on Thursday night? Yeah, that's a win. I think everyone's taking that one.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. That's a great lineup. For me, Wilson against the Vikings. The Vikings have a very young secondary. I think Wilson's going to destroy it. Todd Gurley against the Panthers. He finally got his rhythm in the red zone. He had 2 touchdowns against the Packers. I think he'll do exceptional. James Robinson, I've been loving this dude from the start. And Dalvin Cook a week ago against the Texans had 28 points. I see James Robinson doing some damage against the Texans this week. CeeDee Lamb. At first, I didn't believe the hype. Now I love the hype. He did exceptional. I'm loving this guy. I can't wait to see what he can do against the Giants. I also have Darius Slayton on the other side. I think that he will do really well because, the Cowboys have a pretty bad passing defense right now. So I have Darius Slayton. And then Eric Ebron. He had an exceptional game for the Steelers 2 weeks ago. They've had some rest. I think Big Ben's going to, push it to him, and we'll see against the Eagles. And the defense I am taking is the Pittsburgh defense. Eagles are still missing a lot of pieces. I think the Pittsburgh defense can definitely exploit that. So that is my starting lineup. Nate, give me your week 5 starting lineup.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to go quarterback Dak Prescott of the Cowboys, take on the Giants. Giants have been absolutely poop. We don't know what's going on with that team. So I'm going to go with running back Chris Carson. Chris Carson, I was high on him earlier. I'm high on him again. I love this guy. He runs with such dominance. He's going to put up points, Seahawks offense. Running back Kareem Hunt. I know he has a little bit of injuries here and there that he's dealing with, but the Cleveland sticks to the run game, and they're true to it. So I love Kareem Hunt in that position. Wide receiver, actually I got 2 wide receivers, DK Metcalf, both from the Seahawks. I'm really high on this team, and Tyler Lockett. again, Seahawks offense, I love them. DK Metcalf, 106 yards for a 31-23 win over the Dolphins. They're just going to keep flying. Tyler Lockett, he'll find his rhythm again this week with Russell Wilson. And then tight end George Kittle, he came back. He played a very solid game. I know their quarterback situation and San Francisco is kind of iffy. Yeah, he had a – did he have that? Yeah, he was benched on my team. Yeah, he was benched. I honestly forgot about this guy for some reason. George Kittle did really well with, a third string quarterback and injuries are dealing with San Fran. And then the defense, Indianapolis Colts, I'm going to go again. I love these guys. Their defense has been putting up every week, in fact. So that would be my starts.
Nice. I like it. All right, Sonny, give me your week 5 starts.
All right, we'll start with the quarterback. We go with Deshaun Watson. He threw for over 300 yards and had 2 touchdowns. Should have had a 3rd touchdown to Will Fuller if it didn't get overturned. But, looking for their first win, the Jaguars gave up their loss to the Bengals and Dolphins, giving them their first wins of the season. So I think Watson's going to have a huge game there. James Robinson, actually. Yeah, I'm rolling with James Robinson too, they gave up with over 146 scrimmage yards to Dalvin Cook and gave him up 2 touchdowns. So Robinson's gotten 17-plus touches every game, and he's posted over 90 yards. So, it should be another productive day for him. Wide receiver, talked about earlier, DJ Moore. Why? Because he's playing the Atlanta secondary. A banged-up secondary dealing with even more injuries. I think Robbie Anderson's going to do fine, too. I think DJ Moore is going to ball. Maybe Ian Thomas gets another touchdown. That's why Teddy Bridgewater should be a streamer of the week. But big day for the Carolina offense. And then tight end, another bounce-back candidate, Evan Engram. They're going against maybe the worst defense in the NFL. I know Evan Engram hasn't been good this season, but, he's getting targets. He got 10 last week. And the Cowboys gave up over 500 yards of offense. If he's getting targets, he should be able to see some production this week. So I think this is finally the week he has a big game. And for defense, we're going with the Arizona Cardinals. Why? It's pretty obvious. If you're facing the New York Jets and you're a defense, you're probably going to be in the start of the week conversation. You got Chandler Jones, Patrick Pearson, and then you got Sam Darnold ruled out now with an Adam Gase-led offense. It should be a long day for the Jets and a big game for the Arizona Cardinals to bounce back.
All right, and those are our lineups for week 5. I like them. There's some similarities between ours, but we'll have to see. It is time now for our mailbag questions. We actually do have a couple questions from our viewers, and we're going to answer them. So first off, we're going to start off with the first question. I have Chubb and Christian McCaffrey. Should I drop Chubb? Should I trade him? Should I keep him on my bench? I assume he is talking about just Chubb in both of those 3 questions. So should he drop Chubb? Should he trade him? What do you guys think? We'll start with Mike.
How bad is the injury? Do we know?
About 6 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
6 weeks. 6 weeks. That's a hefty time.
He has Chubb and CFC. Man, that's so rough. Unlucky.
Yeah.
That's unlucky in the worst possible way. You have 2 great running backs that are injured.
Yeah, but they're both coming back, so I just keep them on your bench. I would think keep them on your bench and then just go with whatever stragglers you can find until they come back, because when they come back, they're going to get opportunities, and that's going to be rare at the end of the season when everyone else is injured. So I wouldn't get rid of either.
All right. Sonny.
Yeah, you can find my article inside thehashes.com, but after the Bengals game on primetime, I said that's when you should be selling Chubb. That's when his value is at the highest. Definitely you're not dropping him, but if your record isn't looking too hot, then I'd be looking to make some moves aggressively. But if you're looking good, just ride it out, because you don't want to get robbed of value. So at this point, I would say just stick through it if you can take the hit.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. If you definitely can take that hit and, keeping these guys and just keep the stragglers and put them on and, maybe have a 500 record by the time they come back, that's probably the move that I would go for. Nate, what would you do?
Yeah, should I drop Chubb? Should I trade him? That's a good question. I would keep him. They're going to bounce back. He's in a game. He's on a team, that's heavy on the run. I know they're going to keep Chubb for the long haul if the Browns can continue to do well. So I would definitely keep Chubb on your bench. He's been playing pretty solid all season. So they're just being cautious. I'm sure that the injury that he suffered isn't. I know it's significant, but it is as bad as people think. But they're going to try to keep their star running back, as long as they want for the long haul to keep him healthy. So I would bench him.
And another thing, if you're picking up a running back, remember those guys that we mentioned: Edmonds, Damian Harris, Justin Jackson, and Dearness Johnson. Try and get 2 of those. Try and grab a group of those. Just keep picking up these guys till.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Oh, I think your mic came out, Sonny. You were muted there for a little bit. All right, we are going off to our second question for Mailbag. Who won the trade, Mike's trade, Diggs for McLaurin and Robinson? I personally think that the McLaurin and Robinson addition is way better, in my opinion. So I'm going to say that Mike won that trade.
Wait, I traded 4 Diggs.
Oh, you got Diggs.
Yes.
Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna go with the
Oh,
McLaurin
alright.
and Robinson side on that one.
All right, I apologize. Yeah, I will also go with McLaurin and Robinson. Mike, who would you?
I would go with McLaurin and Robinson. No, just after last week though, like I had 4 running backs that I thought were starting quality: Adrian Peterson, Kenyon Drake, Josh Jacobs, and Robinson on a bad team that is probably going to be behind a lot and not be able to run the ball consistently. Obviously, he's a good player, but I don't think that down the long run, if I have a chance, I'm probably keeping Drake in, though I wish I traded Drake instead. But since I didn't, I'm happy for them. And then I'd rather have Diggs than McLaurin. So McLaurin played better than Diggs last week, at least in production-wise. But Diggs is on a better team, on a better offense with a better quarterback, and McLaurin, they're going to eventually just figure out that that's all the Redskins can do is throw to him, so they're going to just double him. And I see Diggs doing better.
Washington football team.
Did I say Redskins?
Yeah, I just said it again. Yeah.
Oh, yes, the Washington football team.
There you go.
Out of context, I said that, but now that you explained to me that you have running back depth, that makes perfect sense that you would get Diggs and add that addition to your team.
And I couldn't trade Adrian Peterson. I just love having him on my team so much. And
Trust
that he's
me,
getting carries.
I don't think you're going to get anything for him, just saying. But
get anything for who?
Adrian Peterson.
I'm not trading Adrian. He's off limits. I'm not trading the best player in the NFL. No way.
It's all you, man.
All right. I would like to get to these last 2 questions. So we're going to go to our third question that we have. Carson for wide receiver 1 and running back 2. Not necessarily.
I love
it.
it. I'm all in on that. If you can, okay, let's see, like what, Terry McLaurin and then like an RB2. I mean, like I would do it. Okay, if you can get Terry McLaurin and David Montgomery, I would do that.
All right, Terry. Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, it also depends on the context of what you need, but if you put those 2 players, I'm with you on that. Nate, how do you feel about it? Carson for a wide receiver 1 and a running back 2.
The best quarterback in the NFL for scrubs. That's a good one. No, I would do it. Carson has no weapons.
Wait, are we talking about Chris Carson or Carson Wentz?
Yeah, we
Carson
could be talking about Chris Carson or Carson.
I'm sure that is a good question. Well, if it's for Carson Wentz,
it's probably Chris Carson.
Chris Carson.
Chris Carson.
Okay. Besides, all right. Then I would, for a wide receiver 1 and 2. I mean, again, it depends what wide receiver 1 and 2 we're talking about. I mean, that's a pretty,
Let's hear Terry and Montgomery. So, let's put those 2 guys. Let's see that.
Terry Montgomery, I'm not doing that then. I'd rather have Chris Carson. Yeah, I'd rather have Chris Carson. Again, it, like we were saying, it depends. I mean, Terry's not bad, but if you gave me a better RB2, then I probably would have said maybe on that. But I would keep Chris Carson.
Okay. Mike, what do you feel about it?
I need more details. It's tough to say right off the bat because in my situation, right, like I had these 3 running backs that I was more confident in than Robinson, so I was fine giving him away, and I wanted to upgrade the one other spot. So if you are in a position where you need a top wide receiver and are willing to downgrade in your running back, but you need a wide receiver because your other ones are garbage, then yeah, I would do it for sure if you need to do it and you need to fill out your roster. If you don't, you're just doing it to have depth or you're just doing it to do it, then no, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I would agree with you. All right, we'll get to our fourth question that we have from the mailbag. You guys like Mike Davis from the Panthers? I love what Mike Davis is doing from the Panthers. He's doing exceptional for me. I think he's had like more than 15 points in the last 2 weeks. If you're trying to go get that person, it's it's kind of hard if you start him, but I don't know if you should go for him because C-Mac is coming back relatively soon. So you might have missed the opportunity. Sonny, what do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I love what he's been doing, and if you start him, congrats, because he's probably helped you win a few weeks. But I mean, there's no point in acquiring him now because CMC could be back next week. We know he's out this week, but I mean, if you have him also, I would be selling him right now because you're not. When Christian McCaffrey comes back, I don't know how much value he's going to have. So great guy, great fill-in, but other than that, not much to it.
I agree with you. Mike, how do you feel about it?
If Christian McCaffrey's coming back, if he will sooner rather than later, so you're only looking at the Mike Davis train running for another couple stops. So if you've got him, keep playing him until CMC comes back. But after that, I mean, no.
I would say find the Christian McCaffrey owner and see what you can get out of him, even if it's just a one-word. I mean, that's what I would say if I had Mike Davis.
Nate, how do you feel about it? General consensus or different opinion?
Dude's been playing great, like really good.
I mean, yeah, he's been playing great, but I mean,
he's playing really good. You know what? I think they're gonna again play it safe with their number one running back, and they're gonna try to split the time between Mike and Christian. This guy's pretty good. I don't know. It's a tough one. It really is. I like Mike Davis, and anybody who has him is pretty lucky.
The thing I can see them doing is putting Mike Davis more in red zone opportunities just because he can take those hits.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's the only thing I can see.
Definitely when the field gets shorter for the Panthers, when they get toward the red zone, I would think Mike Davis would take more of the carries for that. So, I'm going with Mike Davis. I like him. He's a pretty solid guy.
But see, here's like another thing. Like, what if right now? I know we keep talking about. What if right now you could flip him for Montgomery, someone that we know is going to have a heavy workload the rest of the season? Would you guys do that?
Like trade, take
right now, Mike Davis. Yeah, you give him up for David Montgomery, and then you got Montgomery the rest of the season.
Yeah, I would take the guy who gets more of the work.
That's what I'm advocating for right now.
If Montgomery's going to get more of the workload than a guy who's going to get less touches every week, starting from now until then I would do it.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me Christian McCaffrey was done for the season, then he's borderline RB1 rest of the way going forward. I mean, I love Mike Davis. It's just we got to take into account that McCaffrey should be back soon and seeing a lot of touches. So, and I don't know how involved Mike Davis is going to be. So, just something to remember.
All right, guys, that is the end of our episode. We appreciate you guys having all the mailbag time questions. That was awesome. Listen to us on Spotify, Facebook, and YouTube. Also follow us at InsideTheHashes.com. You can check out our Insta, Twitter accounts at Inside Hashes. Also check out our website where you can watch Aired Out and RPO. And we will see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. It'll be after week 5. It's coming with the NFL season. We're almost getting to the halfway point. It's kind of crazy. But stay safe out there, guys. And we appreciate you listening in. And good night.
Bye.
Peace.
Go Birds.